So while we were out today working in the garden at the property, getting some stuff for supper tonight, I figured while I was out here, everybody went home. I figured while I was out here, I'd go ahead and try and knock out the first aid portion of the inch bag series. I'm not by any means, I don't profess to be any kind of expert as far as the first aid end goes. So I'm just going to throw some thoughts out there, show a few things, and probably be pretty quick and move on from first aid. I'm going to do first aid and hygiene stuff in this one. I'll set it up. Maybe I'll set it up on the bed of the truck or something, or the trailer, and we'll just go over a few things. And I've got a few things I wanted to bring up, maybe just to provoke some thoughts. So a few things that maybe some other guys might not carry in their kit. So anyway, let me set a few things up and we'll get to it. Stay here, Evie. Now this is for the inch bag, so I guess I won't go into this pack, or we're just talking first aid. We're talking what the possibilities of what would be in my inch bag. So again, I'm pulling from several areas and just going to mention a few things. So I'm going to lay some of this stuff out. This is all colloidal silver based products. I know there's a lot of different thinking on that. This is, well, I won't even go into that any further. My wife makes salves, different types of salves. Ace bandage. I've usually got something to do with anti-diarrhea and sinus relief stuff. Let me see if I can see anything I'm doing on the camera. Here's a kit that's kind of a that goes in my main pack sometimes. It's got your basic medicines, ibuprofen, Tylenol, Prilotec, that's stuff for your stomach, naproxen, just a bunch of different things. I guess I should mention that just a kind of a list of some stuff that I think are important. I mean, there's stuff I keep in here, which I actually keep in several packs. These things I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Kind of out of the box stuff, personalized things. But things like Carmex and Blistex and Neosporin, tape. One thing I should mention, in the past, as far as hiking and backpacking, I was always, my basic first aid kit was cloth athletic tape, moleskin, and maybe some ibuprofen is what I mainly used. And I kind of tossed everything out. And those were the things that I thought that's all I really took with me a lot of times. As I've gotten older, I've gotten to where I take more, like I said, like anti-diarrhea type stuff and just different meds. Now you might think about blowout kits. You might think about kits in an inch bag. Do you need something like tourniquets? This kit's got a tourniquet with it. That's the cat's tourniquet. There's all different ways different type of things you can use for a tourniquet, but there's one that's in that kit. Gunshot wound treatment, that type of stuff. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to profess to be the expert in this area, so I'm going to bypass a lot of that discussion and let some of the more knowledgeable guys deal with that. Now, a few things let me get in the fanny pack and just mention little minor first aid kit that's got just little kind of band-aids and stuff in there. I keep Blistex in there. I've got triple antibiotic ointment in there. More Carmex. I've got crazy glue. We won't get into as far as sewing. That's a different video, but there's sewing kits. There's more lip therapy. This is kind of ends up being kind of a catch-all for different things that I stuff in there because I carry it all the time. I'm gonna get to that later. Nitrile gloves. I keep usually a big wad, a bunch of nitrile gloves in my fanny pack. It would do well to mention that it would be a good idea to have those in your inch bag with you also. Now there's pill fobs. Something I want to mention though that I used to carry all the time for several years, and that's this cleansing lotion. What this is a let me read it. It cleans and soothes irritated perineal and external vaginal areas. This is a woman's cleansing lotion, and it's excellent. The only, as far as keeping yourself clean, me and my son call this butt juice, and that's all I'll say about that. Other than if you use it a whole lot, it can really dry you out and make you itch, if that makes sense. But this is something I used to carry with me. I wouldn't walk out the door without this in my pocket. Not so much anymore because of the drying out. I realize that it's not really a good idea to use it on a daily basis. Now, another thing I want to throw in there, and I've got this one. I've got one. Well, there's where I put the rest of it. I've got one in here. So I've got two. These are butt paste. These are for babies. When you change a diaper, this is zinc oxide and some other stuff in it. I've got another one in my pocket. This is excellent. This stuff is excellent for adult use. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if adults shouldn't be using it, whatever, but it's good stuff. Another thing, which I think is about the same stuff, this cleansing lotion, the doctor who had turned me onto this stuff and had given it to me in these packets for use. Another thing you might take note of, this Tux anti-itch ointment is what it says, relieves external itch. But if you, I don't even know how to get, without being gross, how to get into why you need some of this stuff. But when you're going days and days and days, possibly without showering and we're talking hygiene. Basically, when your butt gets chafed and dirty and raw, some of this stuff is very, very handy. Maybe we can just say that and move on. This is a cleanser, and the other stuff is kind of pastes and kind of where you can lube your butt up and things like that, if I can be that gross as far as talking about it. This stuff is really natural healing salve. This is actually really good stuff. I use it on my hands a lot in the wintertime, and you can put that pretty much on anything. My wife makes that. I don't know what else to go on. I know I know that it's pretty much of a mess as far as what I've got laid out. Gauze, you know, the guys have talked about gauze and the uses of all that, and guys with a lot more knowledge than I have. So we understand the uses of those types of things. Stuff for your teeth. I think anything from floss to making sure you're going to be able to brush your teeth and take care of your teeth, and even have certain medicines for toothaches and mouth pain. I've never had a problem, but I've heard, and I believe it, that pain in your teeth can cause you to go insane. So pain meds and that sort for your mouth, I think would be a must. I think if you could possibly have antibiotics with you, and just your basic run-of-the-mill meds and first aid, what else do you really need? I don't know what else to. The Ace bandages I think are pretty handy. Bandanas, I think go in this category as far as first aid and hygiene. Soap. I mean, if you have other than the other than this, where'd it go? Other than this hand sanitizer, that's not perfect stuff. It only kills. My understanding is it only kills certain germs and all that. You want to be able to wash your hands and everything else if possible. So I keep a little container of soap in my pack sometimes. Baby wipes I think are a no-brainer to have those type things in your pack. Hand sanitizer, blowout kit, gunshot wounds, a tourniquet, triple antibiotics, ointment, neosporin. Talked about all this. Anti-diarrhea meds, cloth athletic tape is a must. Moleskin. Man, if you've ever done any hiking, you know what moleskin can do for you. Ibuprofen and Tylenol. Let me reset the camera up and I'll just wrap this up if I can. One thing that I'll just throw in there real quickly and then move off. Suppositories. Depending on what you may need to use a suppository for, they're very handy to have in the random or rare occasion that you may be someone that uses them every day, if you've got hemorrhoids or different issues, but even if you don't use them on a daily basis or rarely, if you know what they're for and why you may need them when the time comes to need them, they would be very handy or helpful. I don't know how to say that without getting into uncomfortable explanation. So I'm going to go back through just what I quickly wrote down, and I don't really have anything else. We talked about what I call my butt juice, the butt paste, antibiotics, baby wipes, hand sanitizer, blowout kit. That's a big one. This is an inch bag and you're gone, you gunshot wounds, whatever. Tourniquet, triple antibiotics, neosporin, anti-diarrhea meds I think is a big one. Later on in my years, I've realized how helpful that can be when you're out in the woods for 3-4 days. I actually went on a trip with several guys several years back, and I was on that kick of I only need ibuprofen, tape, and moleskin, and I got sick in the woods, and I wasn't leaving, but I got pretty sick for 3 days, and if one of my buddies hadn't had anti-diarrhea meds with him and some other things, I would have been hurting even worse. So it kind of made a believer in me as far as keeping some extra type stuff with me. I'm not Superman, I never was. I may have been convinced that I was at one point, but I'm not anymore. Tape, moleskin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, your basics. That's it. Sorry I didn't get into any real wow moments again in this one, but that's all I really got to say about it. So thanks for watching. I think I'm gonna wrap, unless something else comes up, I think I'm gonna wrap up, and it may take me a while, but I'm gonna wrap up the complete pack. Now that I've went through most of the categories, I'm gonna put the complete pack together and then go back through, hopefully quickly in one video, each category and what's in the pack. So we'll go from whatever it was, water, fire, blah blah, firearms or any of that stuff, tools, down to medical and everything else. and we'll go through the complete pack either in the next video, probably in the next video if I don't come up with something. I never did talk about stuff like mosquito netting and sleeping bags and sleeping mat pads and those things. So, you know, maybe I'll just add those into the final video as well. And I'm sure there'll be some other random things that I haven't went through yet. But that's it for medical and hygiene. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.